The ARCA Menard Series is in town, and these drivers are ready to take on Talladega.
Very great. This town knows what it's got. It's time to take it up a notch.
We got a big crash.
You gotta earn what can't be bought.
Oh, Wrecken in the lead.
You either are or you're not.
There's no safe place at Talladega.
So if you're looking for a feud, this town is tough, making moves.
This is Talladega.
Talladega Super Speedway, home to high banks and the best infield party on the circuit. This is the General Tire 200, race number 3 for the ARCA Menard Series. And as you can see, it is an absolutely beautiful day. 77 degrees. We've got a double header coming up, Xfinity Series racing after us. But we're so happy that you're joining us here. I'm Jamie Little, joined by Austin Cindric and Phil Parsons. And Austin, you just came off the racetrack, so you know what those conditions are. But let's talk about it. I mean, it's a wide open field. But Phil, let's talk about what we can see today and what to expect.
Well, let's go back a couple months to Daytona in February. This is turn 3 and 4 on the very last lap of the race. The car on the outside, Greg Van Alst, makes the move on Jason White. He goes to victory lane. There was a scrum behind them. Jason White, who was leading with a quarter of a mile to go, finishes 9th. And that's the emotion. That's what I want to see. Somebody that wins at Daytona and knows what it means. Greg Van Alst told me yesterday it's been a couple weeks only probably since it started to sink in that he is a winner in the ARCA Menard Series at Daytona. There's so few of us that have been able to win at Daytona that it means so much, and it should be special, and I think the same thing could happen today.
Oh, that Greg Van Alst experience in victory lane. We haven't seen anything like it this year. So if we have a race like we did at Daytona, we are in for a treat. But you look at the field, and we've only got one former winner. It's wide open. Who are you looking for?
Yeah, I think it's really difficult to pick a favorite. You look through the entire entry list, you've got guys obviously like Greg Van Alst with the success at Daytona, and I think Andy J, you know, look at Brett Holmes, local guy. You know, those are the guys you think of as ARCA Menard Series regulars. You got the entire team from Venturini. I think any one of those drivers could win. And then you've got guys like Jack Wood and Taylor Gray dipping down from the truck series. So I think there's some really strong cars throughout the field. So I can't pick a favorite. I'm looking forward to watch.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there isn't a clear-cut favorite, but all eyes are on Greg Van Alst. Can he do it again? He's in the same car that he won with. And he won. He's 41 years old, won at Daytona. And then we went to Phoenix, and it was a 15-year-old that got it done. And there he is right there, Tyler Reif. And that's what the ARCA Menard Series truly is all about. But of course, we're at a super speedway, so you have to be 18 years old to run here. And we have quite a few rookies in the field that certainly want to make a splash and take home the win today. So who are you guys looking at? There's, what, 15 drivers that are rookies in the field today?
Too many to choose, really, and some really talented rookies as well. Taylor Gray, the 18 car, was supposed to start on the pole, and he's going to have to go to the back because of changing an engine. He's certainly going to be one of the favorites. As Austin mentioned, he's dipping down from the truck series.
And we've got Frankie Muniz. He is a rookie, first time here at Talladega. Did a great job in Daytona. Of course, the Hollywood actor, so we're excited to see how he can do. And Amber Balkin, another one to keep an eye on. She's with Venturini. We'll see how she can do as well. And we've got our Bounty Rookie Spotlight. Today is Rev Racing's #2 driver, Andres Perez. Just turned 18 years old 2 weeks ago, so this is his first super speedway race, but what an incredible job he did at Phoenix.
Yeah, he really did top 5 finish there, and he's a really talented young man. Again, probably would have been okay at Daytona, wasn't old enough yet. So Taylor Gray's the same situation. He wasn't old enough to race at Daytona as well. So it's a great opportunity for a lot of these young drivers to get to race at these kind of racetracks that they know they're going to move up and race in the Major 3 Series of NASCAR.
I think the one thing, too, he got to watch LeVar Scott drive the car he wanted to drive, you know, and I think LeVar did a really good job at Daytona. And whenever you're on the sidelines and not have the chance to drive, I think that gives you a little bit of hunger coming into your first shot at it.
And not to mention, this is the team that we've seen go to victory lane. Last year, they won the championship with Nick Sanchez. So you know they're buttoned up. They can get the job done. And their young driver has certainly done his job. But these guys and ladies have been waiting a long time to get back in the car and get back to racing. So what is it like, especially for drivers in this series, where there may be a big gap before you're racing again, and now you just buckle in and you go to Talladega?
I mean, I forget what it's like to have off weeks, so you're asking the wrong person here. But, yeah, certainly hungry, certainly have a lot of time to be prepared. And, yeah, I know every single one of them is ready to get rolling.
I know there are drivers that have been in this series for a long time, and they've got nerves, but they are ready. Let's go trackside to fire those engines.
And now, race fans, here to say the most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome General Tire Service Manager Chad Smith.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is Talladega. Drivers, start your engines!
That is how you give a command to fire engines. We are ready to go. We have a lot of fans on their feet ready for this ARCA Menard Series race. We'll drop the green flag after this.
Welcome to Talladega on Fox.
It's the wildest ride in racing. It's the fastest, the meanest, and most unforgiving. It's a 500-mile full throttle party.
Let's go, baby.
With danger at every turn. Geico 500 at Talladega, Sunday on Fox.
Talladega is it's a lot different than Daytona. It's wider, it's faster, got more room to move around.
Excited about the General Tire 200 at Talladega, the Alabama gang and everything down there, the history of the Speedway. It'd be awesome to add our name to that list.
It's really fast. We get to utilize drafting.
Oh, almost.
It's a giant game of chess. You got to plan your moves, you know, a mile and a half, 2 miles ahead.
2016 ended up clutching a win. It always holds a special place in my heart as my first win and really where I was able to kick off my career.
Talladega is a little bit of a crapshoot. You know, you never really know what's going to happen there.
Big crash on the front stretch.
I did not have the best of luck at Talladega last season, so I definitely kind of want to rebound and, you know, get some better results.
Watching it and seeing how much movement are in those two lines makes me nervous.
Oh, Reckon in the lead.
It's a little bit of a lottery out here, and I don't know, I'm excited for the race.
Little bit of a lottery indeed. Frankie Muniz hoping he hits that lottery today. I know he's excited to be in the field for the first time at Talladega. Well, we've talked about this being the third race of this season. Greg Van Alst with the big win at Daytona, and then he followed that up with another top 10 finish at Phoenix. So he is the current point series leader, and you got Frankie Muniz in second.
Yeah, doing a great job, as you mentioned, the top, just outside the top 10 at Daytona, 6th place finish at Phoenix, and look at that guy down in 4th, Jesse Love. He's going to be a contender all year long. A little bit of bad luck at Phoenix, but he's going to be a contender for sure.
See Jack Wood down there in 6th. He's part-time. He's been running the truck series, doing a nice job for Kyle Busch Motorsports. And today, the General Tire Pole Award, well, we didn't have qualifying. We did have a little bit of practice, but it went to Taylor Gray in the 18 team. They're going to be tough to beat today. They're going to have to drop to the rear, though, at the start of the race, but we'll get more on that coming up. And the field was set by owner points. So we'll take a look at our General Tire 200 starting grid. Jesse Love starting on outside front row, and he will be the control car.
Yeah, as mentioned, Taylor Gray, first time ever on a super speedway. That's why he's here, to try to get some experience for his full-time truck series season.
See Scott Melton up there. Good to see him back. Anybody that watched this race last year saw that horrific crash. He was airlifted out of here with a broken leg. He's back in, not giving up.
Talk about Amber Balkin. She had a great car at Daytona, had a top 10 finish there.
Well, we have 4 ladies in the field today, and Mandy Chick starting 27th. Great run at Daytona, fishing in the top 5. Perhaps she can do it again. Why don't you dial her up?
Yeah, let's do it. Hey, Mandy Chick, Phil Parsons, Austin Cindric, and Jamie Little in the Fox booth. You got a copy?
I've got you loud and clear.
Well, Mandy, we were so impressed with the job that you did in Daytona with that top 5 finish, and we know that your schedule's pretty busy. You're an engineering student finishing your junior year, and you had a great car yesterday in practice, top 5. And not only with all that going on, you're also the president of your sorority. So do you have any sorority sisters watching you today?
Yeah, they've got a watch party going, and they're supporting me. They've been sending me messages all morning. So it sure is busy holding all those roles, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I love it.
Well, as you mentioned, you had a good car yesterday in practice. You only ran 4 or 5 laps. Did you get enough feel for what you have?
I think we did get enough feel. I think if Daytona was any indication of how well we can do on a super speedway, I feel like this is going to go really well for us.
Well, appreciate your time and have a great race.
Thank you so much.
She's been fun to watch. She was fun to watch at Daytona. Fun to talk to yesterday and today. But let's take a look at our race analysis for the General Tire 200. You see the race is 202 miles, 76 laps. We will have a competition caution on or around lap number 38. All these teams know that they can get to that lap 38, then they can make it the rest of the way. Could be some strategy. People may pit a little early and stretch that a little bit. But Nick Sanchez was our winner last year. And again, this is the 61st time that these ARCA Menard Series cars have been at Talladega.
We're obviously super speedway racing here. You think of Daytona and Talladega. Talladega obviously a little bit bigger, more banking, wider. What that means is you're not going to be so much worried about handling. You're worried about the moves you're going to make, who you're going to make them with, and it always turns out the handling's not as important as the push that you're getting, and that's usually what's causing the wrecks. So it should be fun to watch, see everybody try and figure this one out.
A lot to figure out for sure, but one thing is for sure, we're going to have some sweet moves of the race as always. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern, head over to the ARCA Menard Series Twitter and Facebook pages at ARCA_racing to vote on what moment you think was today's sweet move of the race presented by Reese's. That's always fun, so remember to go vote tomorrow morning. Well, we have 2 pit reporters covering everything for you today, Jamie Howe and Heather DeBow. Good afternoon, ladies. Heather, you're up first.
Good afternoon, Jamie. Well, we're going to talk about Frankie Muniz. Coming into this season, his goal was just to prove that he could compete and that he belonged here. And after talking to him today, that mindset has completely switched. Not only does he feel like he belongs here, he feels like he can win and fight for a championship this season. We saw that mindset come true already because he had a dream that he won here last night in Talladega. So we'll see if he can make that dream a reality here today. Jamie Howe?
Well, for Taylor Gray, his full attention of racing for this 2023 season is in the Craftsman Truck Series. But having just turned 18 back in March, he has no experience when it comes to super speedway racing. We saw him win 3 races here in ARCA last season, but we don't know what he can do yet in this format. That's what brought him here for this weekend. It's his very first race with Joe Gibbs Racing, and he thought he was going to have a pretty easy start to the race, knowing that number 18 was going to be on pole. But 3 laps into that one and only practice session, the oil pressure started dropping by lap 4. They knew they were going to have to swap that engine. He's been thinking about it all night. His mentality now is he has to be aggressive here in the first half of the race so he can have something to do at the end. Jamie.
Thank you. Yes, it's going to be an interesting start to this race, but I think you guys believe in him. You think that 18, how long do you think it'll take him to get up front?
Well, I think it's good for him. I mean, not ever racing on a speedway, being able to cut through the pack. He's going to learn a lot more about his car in the field than he will just leading the race on the bottom.
He'll be in the top 10 within 10 laps.
I like it. Calling it right there. All right, we have 5 onboards today. First up, the 23, Brett Holmes. Welcome back. His home track. He's carrying the Sioux Chief onboard.
We're going to ride along with Gus Steen. This is the Menards onboard. We mentioned Gus is the only former winner here in the ARCA Menard Series in the field, looking to make it 2 wins at Talladega.
Frankie Muniz carrying the General Tire onboard. He's ready to rip today, as you heard.
And how about our Daytona winner? So much emotion from Greg Van Alst. Wants to do it again so bad. This is the Richmond Water Heaters onboard. Keep an eye on Greg Van Alst.
Rumor has it the tattoo bet is still on for Mandy Chick carrying the Reese's onboard, so that'd be a good one to follow up on.
You better explain that, Jamie.
Yes, I was going to say, we're going to get into that later. But yes, one of her crew members may or may not have gotten, well, a tattoo in a place that I would never get a tattoo because of her top 5 finish at Daytona.
We're not going to judge.
And if she gets it done again today, especially a win, I believe there's 3 team members that are going to get a tattoo. So it's perfect for Talladega, right?
Perfect for Talladega.
Doesn't get better. So the 18, Taylor Gray, drops to the rear. We've got Perez moves up to the front row, but it's Jesse Love who starts outside front row, will be the control car. Jesse Love's going to be tough, especially with that starting position, but you kind of have a mixed bag of different drivers. Got Jack Wood in the 6th, outside 3rd in line. And green flag is in the air. We're racing at Talladega.
What a huge jump by Jesse Love.
He's clear by like 7 or 8 car lengths already.
Maybe too far out there by the time the field catches up to him if they can get organized.
Certainly didn't seem very organized on the start. Jesse Love just took control of it.
It's probably going to take him a lap and a half to get organized. And I think what this is going to do for a little while is going to string out cars on the bottom.
Take a couple laps, or a lap and a half at least, for these cars to get up to speed, to full speed as well. Heavily restricted horsepower-wise, probably down a couple hundred horsepower from what they would have non-restricted.
And Andres Perez in the 2, running 2nd right now, just falling in line his first time this style of race.
And Austin, I like that, excuse me, Jamie, because obviously he probably had a little momentum when he got there, but hey, let me get in line here. Let me try to learn something. There's no sense trying to jump to the outside and try to make a move this early.
Well, I think there's some decent cars lined up in the outside lane, so it should be a good gauge for a lot of the competition to understand which lanes are going to be dominant here early on in the race. I think Talladega somewhat favors the bottom a little bit, you know, depending on handling and depending on how big the pack is. But I think we've got 3 or 4 really strong cars leading that outside line, so I'll be interested to see how that develops over the next couple laps.
Yeah, that's Jack Wood, that white with the black on the hood, leading that outside line. Frankie Muniz right behind him.
Got a 3rd line trying to develop some energy on the top of the track.
Andy J said he was going to make it 3 wide. Andy Jankoriak said he was going to make it 3 wide no matter what at the start of the race. And there he is right there, the wheeling car on the inside.
Great sponsor for him, a little bit of a throwback, but they love what the pizza delivery man can offer. Jamie.
Well, for Jack Wood in that number 6, when we talked before the race, he said that one of his goals was just to remain more relaxed than he was back at Daytona. He said he made moves that were working, but when they got to the end of the race, he had no idea who was around him, and he didn't feel like there was anybody that could trust him or anybody that he could trust. So here in this first half today, he plans on just staying right where he's at for the most part, figuring out who's around him and then who's got a good day going, and then work out it from there at the end.
I think that's really great feedback, but also studying yourself, or getting some advice from others, because at the end of the day, when you're racing on a super speedway, you have to have that trust from your competitors. And yeah, Jamie, you're 100% right. You were watching Jack Wood the entire race at Daytona. He was able to make a lot of moves, but he was hanging a lot of people out trying to do it. And eventually you're going to need to rely on somebody to work your way up through the field. Obviously right now, not looking great for the outside line as Frankie Muniz bails to the bottom. But I think that's got to be the mentality you have to have after Daytona if you're Jack Wood.
That was a good car that just jumped in behind Jack Wood. That was the 8 car of Sean Corr. He was 3rd at Daytona this year. Sean always runs extremely well on these super speedways. So now it looks like Jack's going to try to jump down to the bottom in front of Frankie, maybe just to get a little sniff. And he looks like there's a little bit momentum in the outside, so he pulls back up, and I guess he's trying to manage both lines there from the middle of the pack.
Jack Wood told me, he's going to be in a couple more ARCA Menards races. And I said, why come back and race here? And he said, it's a confidence booster. When you can step back down to where you came from, run well, you've learned more, you become a better driver. It gives you some confidence. So when he moves back up to the truck series and he runs that 51 truck with Kyle Busch Motorsports, it helps his confidence and helps his ability to race.
Yeah, Jack has done a nice job. A couple top 10 finishes already this year in the truck series. He'll run about 15 races over there in the truck series. He's got that outside line going pretty well right now. There's Sean Corr, Patrick Emmerling, the 53, and the 18. Also, Taylor Gray is up there in that outside line. So there's a lot of good cars in that outside line right now.
Yeah, I think you're starting to get a few believers. When that bottom lane strings out really well, you kind of look at your 7th, 8th, 9th place cars that realize that they can't do anything if they stay on the bottom. So obviously early in the race, so how much risk do you want to take? But clearly this lane hasn't gone away as they seem to shuck out the 11 car.
Jesse Love continues to lead here. As you see, they're coming up on their first lap car of the day. 6 laps in. We'll be back from Talladega. Welcome back to the General Tire 200. Things heating up here at Talladega as the drivers make their way through turn 2, but you haven't missed anything. Jesse Love up front. The energy getting a little bit more intense. Biggest movers so far, the 53 of Emmerling up 22 positions. Taylor Gray in the 18, talked about him dropping to the rear. He's up 15 spots. And Christian Rose up 12 positions on the move.
And that outside line is coming too.
Yeah, they got all the way up to the second or third car, and they spit out Sean Corr. And that's kind of taken a bit of energy away from him. But I think 3 drivers that are leading this outside line don't surprise me at all. You got Greg Van Alst, got the confidence, obviously the skill set from winning Daytona. Brett Holmes, he's got the experience, and same with Jack Wood. Obviously, I wouldn't say impatient, but he wants to work his way forward. And they've been doing the right thing, side drafting cars, but the more cars that keep getting hung out on the outside have made them lose a little bit of ground. So I think it's important for them to stay loyal at least till they get to the front row.
Yeah, Brett Holmes has done everything but win here at his home track at Talladega. He was second last year. He also has a 5th and the 3rd in his last 3 races here.
When you're a single car operation like Brett Holmes, like Greg Van Alst, they know what each other has and they know their ability. So the plan was to get together. They just didn't know how long it would take to get there. Now they're hooked up nose to tail, trying to work together to get to the front. Brett Holmes, certainly no stranger to the ARCA Menard Series, the 2020 Series champion. 1 win came back in 2020, that championship year. He won at Kansas. Certainly like to get 1 spot better here. Talladega so close last year, Phil.
And he's raced a lot at the short track across the street as well, the dirt track across the street, where they're having obviously a big show this weekend.
On board with Frankie Muniz.
We walk through the garage, Austin, and all the drivers say, my spot, or my crew chief says, stay next to the double yellow, and that is your friend. And generally that is, but you also want to learn. This is about learning. So you got somebody with some experience like Brett Holmes, so why not go up there, that outside line, and see if you can help them and make it work. It's fine to run against the double yellow line, and that's probably the smart play, but you also want to try to learn something. And I love the fact, like for Taylor Gray, who started last, he's passed so many cars, and I love the fact that he's getting that experience of passing cars as well.
I think if you're Frankie, obviously you got a guy on your outside for that long. Yeah, you're stuck on the bottom, got the leader of the outside lane, but you're watching what Brett Holmes is doing to your car. Why is Brett able to make it work? He's getting the side drafts at the right times.
Why is my car slowing down all the time?
Exactly. He's learning all these things for the first time. He's listening to his RPM, like right here. He's going to pull back. Okay, Frankie's now listening to his RPMs drop. Okay, why did that happen? How can I do that to somebody else?
This is the battle for 9th right here. Frankie Muniz on the bottom. Brett Holmes.
That's created a gap now, obviously behind Greg Van Alst.
Yeah, we had a moment, a near miss right here for the 69 is Scott Melton. And Andy J.
He cut him a break big time. 69 car obviously lost a nose coming through the tri-oval and left a bit of a lane, and I think Andy J lifted for him there. That was almost a wreck.
Yeah.
I almost had to interrupt Phil while he was talking. I thought we were wrecking.
Yeah, and again, you think it's relatively easy to ride around with your left side tires on the double yellow line, but these cars will jump around. The air will move these cars around a little bit too, so it's not always that simple just to keep that car against the double yellow line. We saw that for Scott Melton in the 69. Right along with Gus Dean. Gus right now running in the 4th spot. That's Amber Balkin doing an awesome job right in front of Gus. Amber's in the 15 car, both those cars out of Venturini Motorsports. Billy is not here. Billy actually is running a car in the ARCA Menards West Series, so he's out there at Kern County with that car.
A lot going on for Venturini Motorsports. And Gus Dean certainly knows how to get it done at this place. Did it back in 2016.
I was talking to Gus's dad in the garage area yesterday, and he said that we're really the only race car driver in our area, so the whole town of Bluffton tunes in to watch Gus when he races.
And he had an unfortunate run at Daytona too, having that mechanical issue. Wasn't really able to even see the end of the race or be able to see what his car had. So as we still see the outside lane here, not organized. Looks like
Jack got spit out in the middle of
And tough part is if you're Brett Holmes and you're working this hard to see Taylor Gray, he's able to actually make his way up to third car in line. What's frustrating is that the whole reason why this bottom lane is single file is because of that restart. These restarts are so important with positioning yourself, being able to have the opportunity to run in front of the field. So obviously quite a few guys got caught sleeping there at the beginning of the race, and I think that's why we're single file here.
And Jesse Love with that big start, as you mentioned, in the 20 car. He's led all 14 laps so far today. Perez behind him, Amber Balcaen, Gus Dean, Scott Melton, your top 5.
I'd say these top 5 or 6 cars all really have the opportunity here to really feel the small things about your race car. When you're running in the single file line, you're really able to understand, okay, am I loose here, am I tight here, and helps you in bad traffic spots.
They've got a little bit of an issue there. The 53, they're going to need to change that on the first round of stops. We'll be back after this. Under caution for the first time today, Greg Van Alst hard into the safer barrier. You see him there. He was in 8th, moving forward at the time of impact.
You see him right side of your screen. Bit of a jumble right there.
Good save by 25.
Yeah. Gus Dean in the 25, Scott Melton the 69. But watch Greg Van Alst come through here. He had such a head of steam. Those cars were off the throttle. Looks like I don't know if he faded up a little bit and made contact with his 69, or Scott Melton came down a little bit, but there was contact between the 69 of Scott Melton and the 35 of Greg Van Alst.
Yeah, I think what started all this, looks like the 15 had some sort of issue. She decides to dive to the bottom. That's why everybody gets all stacked up. And yeah, it looks like the 69 faded low. The car in front of him was kind of fading down. He was probably just
trying to follow that car underneath him, and unfortunately Greg Van Alst was there.
It's a tough break, man.
And remember, we talk about spotters. That's a long way over there to the backstretch for those spotters to see which lane they are. You know, they can see front and back, but it's hard to see which lane people are in.
Especially when you have such quick movement through the field, you know, such a speed differential. Like you mentioned, it looked like the 35 car was shot out of a cannon. And he probably wasn't just quick enough to react that 35 was there. But, yeah,
I think Scott was going to try to pull down and follow the 25 of Gus Dean and made contact.
I think we got an in-car here with Greg Van Alst. Yeah, nothing he could do there.
Just alone for the ride at this point. Really fortunate that there was only a single car incident. Obviously there was contact that precipitated this, but nobody came along and ran into him. Tough break for Greg Van Alst. I know how much he wanted to back up that win from Daytona.
Highs and lows of speedway racing for sure.
Came in here as the point leader, so that's something else he's considering. He's full-time in the series, but really good to see Greg Van Alst out of the car. Jamie?
Well, that point lead was one of the things he said coming in today that he really wanted to leave with, because qualifying, when it doesn't happen going forward, goes off of the points. So that was going to be huge for him as the season progresses. But, you know, I was listening in on the scanner right after this incident happened, and he was talking to his spotter, Brandon Lyons, who spots for William Byron. He said it was a huge part of him getting that win back in Daytona, but he just couldn't hear him. So he couldn't hear what Brandon was telling him over the radio right before that accident, which is what led to, unfortunately, it happening. And, you know, his crew's got so much work ahead of them, and it is just a part-time crew. They don't have a single full-time member on that team. They've got police officers, electricians, fabricators, plumbers, fence builders, you know, you name it, but none of them are full-time in the race shop. So it's going to be a long couple of weeks as they get ready to move on.
Isn't that racing? Yeah. The highs of the world. You know, you win at Daytona, and now you're done early. First car out, Greg Van Alst.
But I don't know that Brandon Lyons and Greg Van Alst could have done anything different to avoid that incident.
18 laps in. First caution of the day for this, Greg Van Alst. First car out of today's race. ARCA Racing on FS1 is brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards. And by Bounty. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper. And Amber Balcaen, you saw in the replays there, she was part of that issue, maybe even started it. Now she's on pit road, and this is not a good sign as they push her back up pit road.
Watch left of your screen. You see there's a good gap back to Gustine. All of a sudden that gap is going to go away. She is out of the throttle, off power, and that just jumbles everybody up. You see Scott Melton getting in the back of Gustine, Andy J, the same situation. And then Greg saw that opening there, shot through the middle, and again, that's when we think Scott Melton pulled down to try to get behind Gustine, and unfortunately Greg was there.
Yeah, unfortunately for Amber, there's not really a whole lot you can do. You see Gus kind of can tell there's a problem, but he's getting pushed through it. So he bails to the top, Amber bails to the bottom, and then obviously chaos kind of ensues behind all of them. But I'm not sure there's much Amber can unfortunately do. Obviously her car's disabled and they're already back in the garage.
Really unfortunate for Amber Balcaen, who's racing now for Venturini Motorsports, finished 6th at Daytona. And Taylor Gray in for some fuel. And what you can do here, under any caution, you can come in, you could take fuel and tires. You can't take them simultaneously. So you see they came in and opted to take some fuel. Jamie?
Well, for Amber Balcaen back in the garage area, the initial problem they thought was in the clutch. So she did come to pit lane. She just wasn't shifting. It wasn't changing gears as you saw it on the racetrack. And so they thought it was the clutch, brought her in, trying to fill up the reservoir, trying to get it back into the car after doing that. And once they were executing all of the changes, Amber came back over the radio to the team and said, it's not the clutch, though. It's more than that. She said when she goes to the throttle, it still isn't going anywhere. The revs are just going up. So that was when they made the decision to push her back to the garage area, get her out of the way, and try to get to the root of the problem.
So certainly her day is not over, but not what she had. Certainly an issue with the 15. This is the only race she has planned for the rest of the year. Hoping for more, though, for Amber Balcaen.
When I'm not racing, gardening gives me a chance to reflect and get some much-needed peace and quiet. My plants remind me to be patient, and that sometimes going slow is okay. But outside the greenhouse, fast is more fun. For me, General Tire delivers.
Certainly a storied career for the ARCA Menard Series here at Talladega. Some of the notable winners. Look at an old Mark Martin. So cool to see him win it back in the day.
How about 6 combined wins for Davey Allison and Red Farmer? And Grant Adcox won 5 times. He raced 900 and some laps and led over half of them here at Talladega.
Pretty impressive. 61st ARCA Menard Series race at Talladega today. 42 different winners. Who will add to it today, gentlemen?
I think we'll have 43.
Yeah.
I like it. Let's get an update on Taylor Gray. We mentioned he came down pit road not once, but twice, Jamie.
Yes, definitely an unplanned pit stop for them, and the issue is all in the radio. They could not hear Taylor. Taylor was able to hear his spotter, Nick Payne. He was able to hear his crew chief, Matt Ross, but they were not able to hear him, and you have to think about what is the goal of being here. The goal is all about learning how to super speedway race, and if you don't have that communication, it makes that a lot harder to achieve. So they did have to swap out the radio, and they did make a second pit stop to readdress it, but he just gave me the thumbs up and said, we're good to go now.
Thank you for that update. Man, that team has had their work cut out for them from the time they unloaded yesterday. They got out on track for a few practice laps, realized they had an issue in the engine. They had to swap that out and drop to the back, and now radio communication problems. But it's Talladega. It's not over.
That's right. Well, I love the fact that he was able to hear his spotter and his crew chief. That's the most important part. Yes, he needs to give them feedback, but the way more important part is to be able to hear your spotter.
Well, we keep saying it's a big weekend here at Talladega, all kinds of things going on, but we do have a triple header. We've got the Xfinity Series after us, and then tomorrow, the NASCAR Cup Series returns to Fox as the series heads right here to the High Banks. We're excited for that action-packed racing. Who will be the winner? You can catch all the action in the pre-race. It starts at 2. The engines fire for the Geico 500 at 3 Eastern. Of course, you can see all that on Fox. Well, let's hear from the man who has crashed out early, Greg Van Alst.
And he's checked and released now from the Infield Care Center. Came into this race as the points leader, but an unfortunate early end for you there. Take us through what happened.
Yeah, I haven't seen a replay, so I really don't know exactly what happened. I know they started checking up in front of me, but there were several cars that were, when they were bouncing off the apron in the center of the corner. Yeah, it's right there. He just drove down on the apron, and looks like the 15 might have broke or something. So, yeah, I don't know. Just, I don't know where he was going. I mean, no one hit him from behind. He just right hooked me. So, gonna have to have a conversation after seeing that replay. That's, I I don't know. That's just he looks like Andy kind of hit him. So I don't know. It's tough. You know, we work our tails off to get here. And my dad can't be with us this weekend. He's hoping for a good show. I don't know. It's just part of racing, I guess.
Thanks, Greg.
Yes, and Greg mentioned his dad there. Bruce is at home, and he's battling cancer, and he's had some tough days. So we're thinking about you, and obviously your son, Greg, loves you and is thinking about you too. But hard day for Greg Van Alst.
That just goes to show you how much this means to these people. You know, obviously his dad fighting the issues he's fighting is weighing on Greg's mind. But I mean, these people put their heart and souls in this, and don't get an opportunity to race here at Talladega but once a year, and it means so much.
Well, you do it because you know what the reward is at the end. You know how that feels, and that's what motivates you. That's what's going to get Greg and all his buddies back in the shop and building cars up, fixing that thing up for the next speedway race. That's what makes it hard, but it's what makes it rewarding, right?
They got a couple weeks to do it. Kansas Speedway at 2 Eastern on FS1 is our next race, so they'll get things fixed up and make the trek out to Kansas from Indiana, where Greg Van Alst and his race team is from.
We lost, obviously we lost Greg Van Alst. We also lost Amber Balkin from contention, but a lot of good cars left on the racetrack as Ty Gibbs is a interested observer there.
Looks like he's playing Candy Crush.
Well, he's interested in something.
Yeah, he's interested in something.
Yeah.
Talked a lot about that young man 2 years ago in this series, and boy, did he climb the ladder quickly.
He's been killing it on Sundays, honestly. He's got a streak of top 10s. He's doing a good job.
Quick learner, guess you could say.
I think these guys are going to be much more organized on this restart. If they've learned their lesson, hopefully they have.
Jesse Love has led every lap so far, all 22. Andres Perez, outside front row.
A lot better start that time for Andres.
Gustine on the inside, Andy J, and they're wrecking behind him.
Kitzmiller is one of those cars. Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Brian Doza, the 57, slams into the side of Kitzmiller.
About 5, 6, 7 cars involved there on that restart, just beyond the start-finish line.
Brad Smith, the 48, that red car, right on top of the double yellow line.
Looks like Kevin Hinkle in the 0 involved as well.
That was wild.
Tim Richmond, unfortunately, Tim had a huge crash at Daytona. Brought a different car here, put this car together. Thought it was great yesterday. You see a lot of damage to his car also.
We'll have to see exactly what happened. This was pretty far back in the pack.
Yeah, I think missed a shift somewhere along the way. It's probably your second to third gear shift right before start finish line. Yeah,
run into the back of somebody, maybe not square, and it turns them either inside or out.
But some really awkward hits there too. Obviously winding that down, but back into that car.
Hard hit when Brian Doza came in with a 57. Logan Mizuraka unfortunately had a solid run at Daytona. Unfortunately, the only race right now that she has planned, hoping to do more with Celsius on board, and looks like maybe bringing an end to her day as well.
Logan Mizuraka drives for the NASCAR Experience here and at Daytona. Was really hoping for a great day today, but she was involved here. Let's see what happened.
Something happened to Kitzmiller, it looks like. I don't know if it just was it simple a matter of spinning the tires or something else, and I'm not sure.
To me, that has every making of a missed shift.
Yeah.
Because it's like, obviously, you'd be going from second to third. So that looks like a second to first moment, which slows down the transmission, and obviously a lot of wheel speed.
Mandy Chick in the 74. You can ride on board and see what she saw from her perspective here.
He's on the inside.
Yeah, I mean that was right at that time where that shift was. So that's, you know, I hate to blame him for missing a shift, and it wasn't, but it's kind of what it looked like, and obviously stacked everybody up, and I don't think anyone, especially that far back in the field, was really expecting it.
There's Tim Richmond up against the outside wall, and
yeah, he
spins down off the outside wall.
Cranked the wheel right to miss it, and obviously got the car bent out of shape out of the track.
Mandy had a real good shot in the side from the 66 of Garrett.
This is a pretty big smack here once the 97 car slows down.
That's Garrett in the 66, Tim Richmond in the 27.
Saw the AMR safety team on the scene quickly. A lot of drivers to tend to after that one.
There's Logan. Good to see her get out of that Celsius car.
See her nod, saying she's all right, just frustrated. We'll step aside as we're under caution for the second time. 52 laps to go from Talladega. ARCA Racing on FS1 is brought to you by General Tire. General Tire delivers the freedom to explore. And by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Reese's, not sorry. And cleanup just about complete from that second caution of the day that involved 7 cars. You see them there.
That 57 is Hunter Desautels. That's the Brian Doza car. Brian owns that car. Brian, a longtime competitor in the ARCA Menard series as well as the Southern Modifieds.
Well, as we continue under caution here, I'm looking at the rundown, and Frankie Muniz in 6th right now.
Doing a nice job here, trying to piggyback off that great 6th place finish at Phoenix his last time out, as well as I think he had an 11th place finish at Daytona.
Heather talked about it earlier, that he tweeted this morning that he woke up and had a dream that he was at Talladega and he won it, and he said, I am at Talladega, now I have to go out and win it.
Why don't we see if we can talk to Frankie and see what's on his mind?
Let's do it.
Hey, Frankie, Phil Parsons, Austin Cindric, Jamie Little in the Fox booth. You got a copy?
Copy. How you guys doing?
Good. Jamie just told us about the dream you had this morning. Everything going to plan so far?
Well, so far, I'm still going. You know, it's still a possibility, but I'm just having so much fun. I really love this. I can't get that through enough. I love being in this race car in this series, and hopefully we'll just keep moving to the front.
You're doing a great job right now running in the 6th spot. So you've been running around the really good cars. Do you feel like you have enough there to contend at the end?
Yeah, I mean, the car feels good. I mean, what I'm doing right now feels fairly comfortable. I don't want to call it easy, you know, because everything I'm doing right now is still a learning experience, right? But no, I feel great, and just the fact to even be with these cars makes me feel good, right? Because I'm a newbie here, you know what I mean? So the fact that I'm sticking with them makes me feel like, you know, I am where I belong, and hopefully I'll get by them and, you know, keep going to the front.
All right, buddy. Appreciate your time. Doing a great job. Keep it up.
Thanks so much, guys.
His excitement is just infectious.
I love it. I love it. He's pumped.
Yeah, and this has been a lifelong dream of his. It's not like, oh, hey, I'm going to take a break from acting. I want to jump in a race car. He has dreamed of doing this his whole adult life. Won the 2005 Toyota Pro Celebrity race at Long Beach. He was on his way to being an open wheel guy, but had a change of course and said, I love the ARCA Menard series. I want to race stock cars.
That's awesome. I know somebody else that won that Toyota Pro Celebrity Challenge race out west.
Not me.
But somebody else in this booth.
Not you.
If it wasn't me and it wasn't you, who was it going to be?
2 races in my career, and I've got 1 win, so I'm going to stop right there.
You have a better win percentage than me and Phil combined.
Anybody that I know of, actually. Yeah.
Won it back in 2008, and it was Mike Skinner. We all know Mike Skinner, right? He was in the field, and he was right behind me. I ended up winning the overall, and it was seriously the best day of my life. Until I had kids and got married, it was the coolest day. And then I got to report on the race the next day, so it was neat.
Nothing better than winning.
Nothing better. I get that feel. I get it now. I truly understand what it means to win. So pits are open.
I think we're going to see a lot of takers here as well, because they're in their window now. We'll come down to complete lap 27. There'll be 49 to 48 to go. I think they can make it. They won't even have to come back in during that competition caution. Heather.
Well, we just heard from Frankie Muniz there, obviously enjoying himself in this race here at Talladega. They're going to make a couple adjustments here for him as far as handling goes. They also might make a strategy call to only take 2 tires at this point, so we'll see what they do. Also in the 73 of Andy Jankowiak, he's been really happy with the 73 car as well. It looks like fuel for him and fuel for the 30. Jamie Howe?
Well, both the Venturini cars, the 25 and the 20, made the decision to stop as well. For Gustine, going to be fuel and tires. He said this race is all about staying calm. It's about not getting into your own head. So to get ready for the week, he and his wife, Briar, finally went on their honeymoon to Bora Bora. He said, I couldn't be any more relaxed coming up here. Just in front of him on pit lane, his teammate, Jesse Love, also coming in. I talked to his crew chief, Shannon Roche, and he said, it's fuel and tires only. He doesn't even want those at this point, but he's getting them anyway. I said, well, can you make it to the end? 48 laps to go on fuel. And he said, we're going to roll the dice and just try.
Well, you saw Jesse Love there started to gas it up and go, and they told him, hang on, wait a second, as they continue to top him off. But it's been, seems like a walk in the park for Jesse Love. He's led every lap so far today.
Remember, these are non-competitive pit stops, so how they came onto pit road is how they will restart that race, unless they don't beat the pace car out, which should be at least 3 minutes before the pace car would get back around here. So I think it's a great time to come in. Again, I think all these drivers will be in their fuel window, all these teams, and they can they have the option of coming back in later if they want to.
And this was what brought out our second caution of the day. Collected 7 different drivers. We'll get back to the action after this. Welcome back to the General Tire 200. Under caution for the second time today. And look at that, had a Ross Chastain Melon Man shirt on. Some fans out here enjoying the perfect weather. It's just gorgeous down here in Alabama. Well, Logan Mizuraka, one of the drivers involved, she's with Heather.
And she's been checked and released from the infield care center. Logan, take us through what happened there on that restart.
Yeah, I mean, just a lot of dust in the air. I think it was just restart gone bad, and we just got into the center of it, unfortunately. But we're fine. That's racing. Just a little bit of a replay. Yeah, just kind of know where to go, I guess. Just as soon as we hit the right front on that front car, it just snapped something. So we were just along for the ride at that point. But, you know, it's okay. It happens, I guess. I mean, I hate seeing you like this. I don't like to see you here.
Thanks, Logan.
And of course, she'd rather be talking to her after the race when you had a good finish or even a win. But yeah, getting to interview with somebody for TV from the medical center is not exactly ideal. See Tim Richmond's car being pushed back to the garage.
The drivers only broadcast last year, I got to do that. And I think you guys need to bring us like ice cream or like something just to make us feel better.
Just sweeten it up a little bit.
Sweeten it up a little bit.
They eat
that
all
should
the
be the
food
best
up here
part.
in the booth,
like,
and then down on pit road, you don't get all those comforts.
No, Jamie, he's talking about take those to the drivers you're interviewing, not for you.
Sweeten you up.
Not for you.
So you're saying you need to carry a backpack of sweets?
Yes, yes.
Well, let's take a look at today's Sioux Chief Fast Track driver. It's the number 20, Jesse Love. He has been certainly on the fast track today. He's led 27 laps.
Led every lap that we raced under green till we came down, till he chose to come down pit road.
18-year-old from Menlo Park, California. 2-time winner in the ARCA Menard Series, but this is the first time he's full-time in this series, so certainly wants to overcome. You know, he unfortunate at Phoenix, had a great car and got taken out, so he's a little bit in a points deficit.
You can see top 10 and 25 of his 30 starts, so really consistent for Jesse Love.
He'd certainly like to get it. How about this look? The bow tie. What influenced that?
Well, I'm always a bow tie guy. I don't even own a regular tie. But I had enough people after, I don't know if it was Daytona or Phoenix. I forget how I dressed for which one, but I had enough people tweeting at me, told me I look like Pee Wee Herman. And you guys told me I had to bring a tie this week, so there you go.
I like it. You're told one thing and you're just going to run with it.
Just run with it.
The pants are too long though for Pee Wee.
It's true. I gotta. They're custom made pants. They don't make them. They don't make them that long off the shelf. So I gotta get it right.
And the snacks continue.
Oh, yeah.
I know you all realize
I've been
that he
eating,
loves food and snacks.
Constantly. These are my adult Lunchables. So it's good times.
Keep you fed, keep you happy. Hey, you had to work today. You had to do hot lap out there for qualifying.
One lap.
Yeah.
Heavy workload for me this week.
Yeah.
3-day weekend, and I'm beat already.
Well, we're happy to have you once again. You're a regular.
So far, I haven't missed one yet. It's been good. I'm enjoying it. It's been a slow start to this race, though, which is I really think it's because everyone was sleeping on the restart, and we have one more, and then they wreck. So it's obviously we're gonna have like a five lap dash here, 6 lap dash, and hopefully we get racy here after this break, because I think the field's ready.
Remember, competition caution right around lap 38.
He's ready for some racing too.
That's right.
Got his Sprite, got his hat on.
A lot of kids here today. A lot of kids camping out. A lot of people camping infield, outside the racetrack. Well, today on Fox, some of baseball's best show out in an early season showdown as Pete Alonso and Francisco Lindor lead the Mets against Brandon Crawford and the Giants. Or the White Sox battle the dominant Rays. It all begins today at 4 Eastern on Fox. A lot of sports going on. Got the USFL happening here right up the street in Birmingham. Great weekend of racing right here in Talladega, Alabama. Jamie, what do you have?
Well, Jack Wood is going to restart this race on that front row, and one of the reasons they decided to stay out there and not pit when the leaders pitted was because they were going to have more laps on a new set of tires for the end of this race, but having these extra laps under caution to get the field back in order is hurting that strategy. All of the other laps are being run under this yellow flag, so he's not going to have as big of an advantage as they were hoping for. His team telling him on the radio right now, just stay calm, it's okay, we can't lose anything when we come down to pit lane, so just keep your head on straight, stay out front, and we're going to get back there.
Yeah, these teams will have 8 tires in the pit, so they can change tires twice. Everybody that came down pit road on this caution flag that put tires on also has another set of tires in the pits as well. A lot of the drivers and teams said they weren't sure they would even change tires, so they may be getting a little more tire wear than anticipated. Pretty warm day today.
Eric Caudell, another one that stayed out as well. He's shown as the leader, and Jack Wood outside front row. Andres Perez, he's just turning a pretty wheel so far today in his debut at a super speedway race.
Yeah, the front row are the only 2 that stayed out on this caution flag. There's Gus Dean. Gus is being shown around the 6th spot. You see him has his hand on that gear shift lever. He's in 2nd gear right now.
First time Jesse Love's actually had to look at another car.
Yeah, the pace car is the only other car that Jesse Love has seen today.
The long drive through the tri-oval to the start-finish line, and green flag once again in the air. Eric Caudell, more of a head-to-head battle on this restart.
You got 2 teammates who were able to link up really well there with Andres and Jack, and really giving the outside lane a chance here. I think they're going to prevail down the back straightaway once they get formed up.
Got a couple of Venturini cars and Jesse Love and Gus Dean on the inside 2nd and 3rd row. I thought they may try to put Eric Caudell in the middle there, but Eric's staying pretty close to that yellow line. But you see the 2 Rev cars move down in front of Eric Caudell to take 1st and 2nd.
So I think that was the right move. Obviously, Jack sitting there waiting to hear that his teammate was clear so he could go down and hopefully be able to control the race from this position. Obviously, the bottom lane being pretty dominant, but still got some pretty good cars stacked up on that outside lane. I wouldn't expect that to go away.
Andy J, that 73 car, the Wheeling car is leading that outside line.
Doing a great job getting that side draft, getting all the way up to the front row here.
Got Frankie behind him. He's a couple of car lengths behind him. If he could tighten that up a little bit, that'll give a little momentum to Andy. Another good side draft by Andy. Now we're going to fan out 3 wide. Gus Dean jumps to the outside, tries to get the outside of Frankie Muniz, didn't quite make it, is going to lose a spot or 2.
Gus Dean left all alone, 3 wide out there, and you see them bouncing off each other.
Big save.
Andy Jankowiak with the near miss earlier, making his way, pushing, trying to get to the lead before the lap 38 competition caution.
You saw the 20 of Jesse Love down below the double yellow line. You can go down there. You just cannot improve your position by going down there. And he was just trying to avoid mayhem is why he was down there.
Yeah, Andy's just getting out of the pack there. He didn't want any of that. I wonder if it was a push gone wrong off the nose of Frankie, but Andy wanted to live to fight another day. That was definitely a better move just to get out of there.
You saw the 44, Jason White, so close to winning at Daytona. He put himself in the right spot when it mattered most, but he got shuffled back. Now he's on the move.
You see what happened when 1 or 2 cars in the outside lane just decide to give up or have a problem, and that really just kills the entire outside lane. You see everyone bailing now.
here. Andy J has an issue. That car was so strong trying to battle for the lead here.
He might have a tire down.
See the damage to the back of that car.
We saw the contact. It looked like he was bouncing off another car or two as he was making his way on that outside lane, and some smoke from his car as he makes his way down the apron.
You see Frankie drop to the back of the Packer. Heather, what's going on with Andy J? Looks like he has some damage.
And as you see here, the 73 of Andy Jankowiak having an issue with that left front tire going down. His spotter, TJ Majors, did a good job of getting him out of the pack and getting him down to the bottom of the track so he get to the apron and come to pit road. His team now reminding him this race is long. We've got a lot of time, so we're going to do our job here on the pit stop and get these tires on and get you back out there. We still have time. We could get the lucky dog.
Let's see exactly what happened as he was making his move on the outside.
He has Frankie behind him. Frankie jumps to the inside. You think maybe just had a tire go down?
Yeah, I think this was all from the contact on the back straightaway when 73 was getting sideways a bit. And obviously this is him bailing out of the pack.
He does a nice job getting out of the pack and not causing any issues. These guys changing tires. This is when all that beating and banging was going on.
So I think that's entry to one on the same lap. And what's going to happen here, I think the 30 is going to have a pretty big run to the back of the 73, and he's going to deliver a pretty decent push. Hard to tell.
I'm not sure that the 30 had gotten there yet to the back of Andy. And obviously we saw the contact between Andy, and that's ultimately is what led to that cut tire.
No, I think you're right.
Saw Andy running up there in the top 5, doing a really nice job. They're fixing that race car up as he continues to sit on pit road.
Just a couple laps, total competition caution will come out.
And I think the big winners here, obviously Jack Wood's going to have to get fuel in the car, but the big winners here is Perez, Love, Holmes, Breidinger. Those are the cars that are really going to have great track position by the time this thing goes yellow.
Jack Wood 6 laps led so far, and you mentioned Toni Breidinger. It's the best she's been, 6th right now.
Yeah. And again, I think all these drivers are good to go to the end of the race, other than Jack Wood and Eric Caudell. Both of those drivers running in the top 5 right now, but we know they're going to have to pit. Good shot of Andres Perez right there, running in the 2nd spot right behind his teammate. If they stay like this, he will inherit the lead if he stays on the racetrack at this competition caution. See a little damage to the right side of the two. There was a lot of beating and banging went on the backstretch.
I said it earlier, I'll say it again. Restart's very important. The reason why these two cars are in the lead, good restart. Reason why Jesse Love dominated the first part of the race, restart. Drivers are going to have to figure that out and be able to capitalize on those opportunities, because when that outside lane does fizzle out or have problems, obviously they all know they got a break coming up, so there's no reason to race too hard, but they're going to have to establish track position on restarts.
Been watching Taylor Gray. He's been jumping to the outside. Nobody wants to go with him, but he's made some moves. He's moved up to the 12th spot. You can get a little help up there on it. We know he has a fast car.
But he's not proven on this style of racetrack, right? You want to have friends, but they've got to be able to trust you and know that your moves are something worth trusting. It looks like he's got a friend there in Frankie Muniz.
Got a friend in Frankie Muniz right there. Trying to make the move around Patrick Emmerling in the 53 car. Caution flag is out. This is the competition caution.
Andy J, more than just a cut tire. You see them working on the left front for him.
Like you mentioned, Phil, pretty big gap from behind. It looks like the 7 of Caudell was just offset off the corner. I don't know if he was getting pushed or he washed up off of turn 2, but he was definitely offset from the inside lane. I think Andy J just wasn't aware that he was that far offset. So bit of an unfortunate break, especially after saving the car and then getting damaged. And now he's probably, I don't know how many laps down.
At least a couple laps down anyway. Yeah, unfortunately, 4 laps down he's being shown right now. But I think it was just, again, whether there was a push combat or not, it's those cars bouncing off the double yellow line. Again, you try to side draft or whatever, but you have to be cognizant of the fact that those cars are moving around a lot. And unfortunately, that's what bit Andy J there. Again, certainly wasn't his fault.
So that General Tire that was left over from Andy Jankowiak. He has had his repairs done. He's back out on the track. Pit should be open next time by.
Again, even though those cars pitted on lap 28, they have the option of coming back in if they feel like they need to for an adjustment, whatever the case may be. We've only run, again, about 6 or 7 green flag laps since we restarted. We know that Jack Wood's coming in. Eric Caudell will be coming in the pits as well.
Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., head over to the ARCA Menard Series Twitter and Facebook pages. That's at ARCA_racing to vote on what moment you think was today's sweet move of the race presented by Reese's. And I think we've had a couple so far.
Yeah, but we haven't seen the winner yet.
We have not.
No.
That's always a good.
That's
100%
right.
agree.
Sometimes it is good to have the Reese's sweet move of the race because you made the winning move,
That's
right?
right.
Other times, not so much. You're on the other end of it. Pits are officially open. Jack Wood shown as the leader. Remember, he stayed out during the last set of stops at lap 28. Oh.
That's.
Is that Andy J, it looks like?
No, I think that's Mandy Chick. Remember all the damage she got from that one crash on the front stretch.
Yeah, they spent a lot of time working on their right front fender and clearly got a tire rub. And I guess better to have a flat tire under yellow than under green.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Looks like she tried to nurse it around and probably ended up doing a lot of damage, so she's stopped.
Yeah, Mandy stayed on the lead lap with all the time they spent on pit road for repairs. She stayed on the lead lap, and unfortunately this is it's going to take some pretty major repairs to try to get that car put back together.
Yeah, she was carrying one of our onboards today. Let's see her view.
Oh, geez. Not ideal. She thought she was in the clear.
Yeah, as you mentioned, fortunately it came under caution.
Pit road is open. Heather?
And Eric Caudell, one of our takers, coming down pit road. He's saying right now the car's overheating just a little bit. So they told him, do not turn the car off. You want to cycle the water here. They're also going to bring a fan out to put in front of the radiator to try to cool down that number 7. Jamie Howe?
Well, Jack Wood just made that stop in his pit box. It will be fuel and tires only. His crew chief, Steve Plattenberger, said on the radio, tell me how your car was once you were out front. And Jack responded saying it was perfect. The tri-oval handling is what he was really after. And he said that he had no issues, so they're not going to take the time to change anything. Jamie?
Well, thank you, Jamie. Said it was perfect out front. Well, it's going to be a little while.
He's going to be about 20th when he restarts this race. So, but we know Jack's a good driver. He's good in traffic. So I look to see him back towards the front here before too much longer.
He'll definitely be one to watch because we talked about it earlier in the show and saw it earlier in the race. You know, he's not afraid to make moves and try and put it on the outside. It's just whether or not there'll be enough cars to get him back to the front.
Jack Wood will be in this car a total of 8 times this year. This is his second one so far this year. We'll step aside as they continue working on pit road. We'll drop the green flag. Mandy Chick with a what in the world just happened? Talladega is truly a destination. If you want to go to a NASCAR race, an ARCA Menards race, and you've never been, you need to come to this one. The infield, well, you know, Austin, you were in the infield last night.
I was in the infield last night. And that Friday's the more tame night. Saturday night is definitely the night to partake in all activities. Last night I threw a 1-pound meatball into the crowd. Didn't think I was going to do that when I woke up yesterday morning, but
there's a lot to do, a lot to see in the infield, and it's a good time. I mean, when people show up just for the scene and the great racing, but you have this vibe at Talladega that you just don't feel anywhere else.
Oh, it's a party, and that's been embraced here, and that's what makes it so much fun. But it is also enough of a family-friendly atmosphere. It's got beautiful weather this time of year. So, but yeah, Saturday night on the boulevard, I actually took a sponsor, like all the CEOs and like top people in my sponsor when I was racing Xfinity, and took them to the boulevard. And there was about half of them that thought it was the coolest thing ever. There's about half of them like, we're all getting fired.
Yeah. You didn't lose any of them.
I didn't lose any of them. I didn't lose any of them.
Heather, save us.
Well, I'm going to try, but somebody who's not having as fun or any fun at all right now is the 32 of Christian Rose. They've been battling a fuel pump issue. Now, in practice yesterday, they had a fuse blow with the fuel pump, and so they only were able to run a couple of laps and really didn't get much practice. So they opted to change that fuel pump, hoping that they wouldn't have an issue, but they have been battling fuel pressure issues the entire race. So he's been sitting on pit road for quite some time, but yeah, he definitely didn't have a good time on Talladega last night, and he's not having a good time right now.
Hate to see that for Christian Rose. Another one, he's like Greg Van Alst, just lights up like Frankie Muniz. All three of them, they've waited so long in their careers to get to this point and dreamt about it. So tough break for him. Andres Perez is the leader. Jesse Love is next to him. More from Talladega after this. Welcome back to the ARCA Menards series. This is the General Tire 200, and it's one of the General Tire Super Speedway Challenge races. It's race number 2 of 7.
Yeah, look, these are the super speedways, at least a mile and a half or bigger. You see Kansas 2 times at Kansas, Charlotte, the mile and a half, Michigan, the 2-mile racetrack, in Pocono, 2.5 mile, 3-turn triangle, I guess, tricky triangle.
The tricky triangle.
Yeah.
ARCA Menards series, the schedule, you just love it. They have a little bit of everything, and for everyone. You mentioned Pocono. We go to the short tracks, the super speedway. We go dirt racing, a little bit of everything.
Road courses.
Yeah. In there.
Mid-Ohio and Watkins Glen. A couple great mild dirt tracks in Springfield and DuQuoin, Illinois.
Helps get these drivers ready and prepared to move up the ladder. And speaking of, I know Greg Van Alst, he crashed out early. He was our first caution of the day. He's going to make his Xfinity Series debut at Richmond for Alpha Prime Racing. So that's something he's been working towards. So I know today was a tough day for him, but something to look forward to. And we just heard from Heather talking about Christian Rose. He too planning on making his Xfinity debut coming up later this season for AM Racing.
That's awesome.
That's what it's all about, right?
That's right.
Race here and with hopes that sponsors and teams will notice you and give you a shot to move up.
Jesse Love on the outside now on this restart. Andres Perez on the inside. I'm really curious to see how Jack can maneuver. Jack's being shown in the 15th spot after making that pit stop.
2 Venturi teammates lined up in the outside with Jesse and Tony. I think we're going to get racy here.
Yeah, and another Venturini car, 3rd row inside with Gus Steen. Brett Holmes has been a little bit quiet, but we know how good Brett Holmes is at this racetrack.
Andres Perez, the 18-year-old. The control car on the inside. Jesse Love to the outside.
Really good push by Brett Holmes here.
Brett Holmes continues pushing the 55, making her way up. Toni Breidinger, the best she's been so far today, trying to get to the bumper of her teammate, Jesse Love.
I'd love to see Toni have a little luck and get to the end of this race. She's been really, really fast on a lot of occasions, has had some bad luck. She's going to jump to the inside and leave her teammate Jesse Love to the outside.
I don't know if Jesse would have expected that or not.
He's got some good pushers lined up though coming.
He's already got
the
some help
outside.
line back up. I think this outside is going to prevail for a while. We got the 18 car Taylor Gray. Obviously, you know that car's really fast from Joe Gibbs Racing. So I think it'll be interesting to see what Andres Perez does here with the lead. First time leading at a super speedway. Big adjustment, looking in the mirror, trying to figure out what you need to do or what you shouldn't be doing. And right here, obviously, a big run coming from the outside. What do you do with it?
Yeah, we talked about Jason White at the top of the show when he was leading that race at Daytona on the last lap. That's him lined up behind Jesse Love. He's done a great job in Jeff McClure's car to make his way up towards the front. Taylor Gray right now 3rd row outside. We know how good a car that is.
Let's get more on the 55, Heather.
And Phil was just talking about how Toni Breidinger has really improved here on super speedways, and she says now she has that aggressive mentality needed for this type of racing. She feels more and more comfortable to be able to move around. She says she's really improved on her ability to navigate different lanes and feel the air and how the air affects her car. So Austin, I know you can speak to this, coming from a rookie and managing that air to now when you have experience, just what quite a difference it is in your super speedway program.
Well, I think it helps you be proactive instead of reactive. It's something I talk about a lot in a lot of facets of racing and being competitive, but it helps you understand what's going to happen, not reacting to something that's already happening. So that's how you get ahead of the competition. That's how you're able to understand what your car is going to do before it happens.
Toni Breidinger did have a moment.
To third row on the inside. Looks like maybe Gus Dean, her teammate, maybe got into the back of her a little bit, trying to help her along.
Looked like she was meeting the sandwich there a little bit.
Yeah, had her hands full there for a moment. That's the problem when you're behind somebody, try to push them. If they're on the bumper, the back bumper of the car in front of them, there's really nowhere to go.
And that's when you rely on your spotter.
Exactly.
You have to be getting that information from your spotter. Okay, you know, if you're Taylor Gray spotter, okay, the 44 has a half a car in front. He's got a half a car in front still. You got room to push. Those are really critical information for you to be able to make the right decision.
And that's why I think it's so important for these ARCA drivers to have really experienced spotters up on top of the grandstands.
Brett Holmes in the 23. He's got him right where he wants him right now. This is his home track. He told me he has, I think, 30 to 40 friends and family all here supporting him like they are every year. Last year they thought it was going to be their time. He ended up second. Ooh, getting a little squirrely. Brett Holmes, who we're talking about, second in line on the bottom there in the 23.
And Jesse Love's finally been able to get to that quarter panel of the 2 car and been able to pull him back. This is the best outside lane's been able to do, but it looks like they're going 3 wide now.
Taylor Gray's going to jump to the outside, going to move around Jason White. Has a little bit of help as well. Oh.
Yeah. A near miss there as Taylor Gray from the back now to the front in front of Jesse Love. New leader.
Wow, that worked out.
Now Jesse Love's
tell you, Jesse's not going to stay with him though.
He's going to jump back down to the bottom, get behind Perez.
Obviously Jesse was too late on that block and probably didn't expect everybody to go 3 wide, but obviously the big winner in that's Taylor Gray, and he's got to hope that his car's fast enough to lead this outside lane. He's got good enough pushes. As Tony's got shucked down to the bottom.
I don't know if she got pushed down there or not. It looks as if she drives back up on the racetrack. Again, Gus Dean was right behind Tony. She's back up on the racetrack. We'll see if she makes her way toward pit road. No, she is going to stay on the racetrack.
Andres Perez continues to lead. Jesse Love second. This is what happened to Toni Breidinger in the 55.
Same exact scenario. Meeting the sandwich, hit that. There's a big bump. There's a tunnel over there where all the campers come in and out of. And you're going to see on this onboard, they're going to hit this tunnel bump, and that's really what gets the cars upset. You hear that RPM spike? That's all just because they're going over that tunnel bump.
And I was just looking at our scoring monitor. It said 27 laps to go. Now it's 26. So I'm thinking to myself, we had a long time to go. We don't need to be pushing and shoving right now. Let's wait till there's inside of 10 laps to go if we're going to do any pushing and shoving. And unfortunately, that went bad for Tony.
2.66 mile racetrack, like you said, to your point, Phil. We're not at a short track. 26 laps is quite a bit of time here. Got to breathe, think about it, and make your moves. Jamie Howe?
Well, Toni Breidinger was right behind the number 23 of Brett Holmes before going down low. And one of the things that they were talking about over the radio between Brett and his spotter, Reed Sorensen, was the fact that he doesn't know who all of the spotters are that are up on the stands with him, which cars they go with here in this series. Reason being, it's Brett's spotter in the truck series, but they don't do, this is the only ARCA race that he's doing this year. So he's trying to figure out who to go and talk to, see if they can get any help. They want to go up high, they want to give it a shot, but he's going to have to take a helper with them, and Reed's trying to figure out who that may be.
That's a great point, because if you're at a truck race or an Xfinity race or a Cup race, you know who all the spotters are. Even though they maybe do all 3 series, you know who Austin Cindric's Cup spotter does on Saturday. You know who his spotter does on Friday or whatever for the truck series. Here in the ARCA series, you really don't know that. There's a lot of the same spotters up on the roof, but you're not sure exactly who they're doing.
You hear about that sometimes when a driver drops down from another series and he's not sure who's in the cars around him. It's about the communication and who you can go with and who you should avoid maybe.
This doesn't look like it's Taylor Gray's first Speedway race. Obviously, he's got the experience from the trucks, but he was getting a lot of really good side drafts, and he's single-handedly, I think, holding this outside lane in contention to grab that lead.
I was talking to Taylor, you know, that you have to be 18 to run these super speedways, but you're allowed to test at Daytona in the off season underage. You just can't go back to the race. And Taylor said he did that a couple years ago, and that got a lot of good experience drafting when he was about 16 years old, and obviously that's coming to fruition here for him.
Taylor Gray, maybe his first time here at a super speedway, but he's a 3-time winner in this series already. Very talented 18-year-old, and I'm impressed with what this team has done. They had to stay late last night changing an engine. Then the start of the race had to come down pit road. They had some radio issues, so he's had his work cut out for him, but here he is up battling right now in the top 5.
All these drivers doing a nice job of negotiating around the lap car. Sometimes that really creates some havoc when you come up on a lap car.
So he was sneaking back in here is Jack Wood. He's all the way back up to 11th. Just shucked another car out to get, you know, 4th in line on the outside lane, going back down to the bottom. He's trying to make moves, but it's obviously what's gotten him back up to the front here.
Yeah, inside, outside, wherever there's a little momentum and there's a little gap, and he's doing a great job.
Let's get more on Taylor Gray, the man leading the outside lane. Here's Jamie.
One of the refreshing parts of the story of that number 18 Joe Gibbs Racing team saying Leighton to swap out that engine was the fact that Taylor Gray stayed with them. He didn't physically help them in any way, but he stood there, he watched on, he supported him. He said, we came as a team, we are leaving the racetrack today as a team. So he was here with them, and I asked him about that sense of family. It's his first and only race with Joe Gibbs Racing, and he said, listen, I grew up around these guys. He was best friends with Ty Gibbs, and one of the things that Ty's dad, Coy Gibbs, who unfortunately is no longer with us, always said to him was, one day you're going to drive one of my race cars, and that was an agreement they had. This is the first time that that's ever happened. So there's a lot of emotion around this event for Taylor Gray and everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing, but he certainly is doing everything he can to make the most of it.
And very fitting as you're talking about him and Coy Gibbs. We lost him suddenly the last race last year. But then to have Taylor Gray battling up there for the lead of this race as he gets shuffled back a little bit in that second lane.
He lost all his help. He had a good little draft going and lost all his help. Now he's got Patrick Emmerling pulling up to his rear bumper, as well as Sean Corr, that 8 car.
I tell you what, Emmerling delivered a stellar tandem push to the back of the 18 car, got him all the way to the front row, but outside lane just clearly not organized right now. I think it has the speed. I think when we talk about Brett Holmes wanting to go up to the outside, that's what you're going to have to do to make moves.
About 20 laps to go, a lot of pushing and shoving. They want to be the first to cross that finish line. Who will do it? Stay with us. Welcome back to the General Tire 200. 18 laps to go here. They were pushing and shoving on their way to commercial break. And you know, we talk about this being a development series. Look at this. Where are they now? Recent Talladega winners. Justin Haley, you got to talk about him every time you come to Talladega. Corey Heim, he just won the Truck Series race last week at Martinsville. And of course, Nick Sanchez, by the way, won this race a year ago. And who's leading the race? Andres Perez, who's with that same exact organization and team.
Yeah, 4 of those 5 drivers already winners in the Truck Series, and Nick Sanchez will join that group before too much longer, I think. Dominated that race at Texas just a few weeks ago till the last lap incident.
Talk about all those drivers that raced in the ARCA Menards series. Of course, Austin Cindric, one of them. He's joining us here in the booth today. Mentioned Greg Van Alst will be making his Xfinity debut, moving up. He's actually doing that at Atlanta, which makes a lot of sense because it's a drafting style track now. So good luck to him as Andres Perez continues to just lead him. Jesse Love in the 20 behind him, Brett Holmes in the 23. This has been a nice battle up here, but these boys nice and quiet right now.
I like that. With 16 laps to go, let's log some laps. Let's get down inside of 10 to go. Jack Wood, Austin, you mentioned, had made a nice move up. Now he's already up into the top 5 in 5th spot as we ride along on the Sioux Chief onboard of Brett Holmes. Again, Brett Holmes 3 times here, last 3 times here, top 5 finishes, including a runner-up finish last year.
And he ran the truck here last year and ended up 3rd, I believe. So it's just one of those places. He has a knack for it.
And it's home. It's home for him.
Absolutely. He told me this morning, Golden Eagle is his sponsor. Well, he's really good friends with the family, and one of their sons is getting married in Auburn later today. He's in the wedding, not just going, so he's in the wedding. Missed the photos. He said, as soon as the race is over, I'll be there. I'll make it in time for the 6 o'clock wedding. But what if he wins?
He wants to get his photos done here.
Yes,
he wants his
does.
photo done
He's got
here.
a good excuse.
Yeah.
Photoshop him.
Yep, he'll just come and say, just hold off. Have the preacher hold off a little bit. I'll be there.
It's a heck of a story, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be? Let's get an update on the 2.
And I'm talking to Andreas Perez before this race. I asked him about making this super speedway debut, and he said he felt like he was as prepared as he could possibly be. He watched a whole bunch of races from Daytona and from here at Talladega from the last couple of years, but he also talked to a whole bunch of drivers, one of them being Nick Sanchez, who we just saw as the winner here last year. He got some tips and some pointers from him, but his inexperience is what's coming up on the radio chatter from the other teams, and particularly with Jesse Love that's right behind him. They're telling him over the radio, you know, you can take advantage of it. He doesn't know how to do this yet. He doesn't have any experience, but I think it's worth pointing out that it's just an unknown. We don't know what Andreas can do at one of these tracks before, but he certainly is doing a good job controlling it right now. Heather?
And the 9 of Sean Court right now, he said, hey man, it's about 15 laps to go. I think it's time to get something going. They said somebody should make a move here soon, but they're talking about the 30 car ahead of him, of Frankie Muniz. He's saying there's some smoke coming from him, so they're debating on whether or not to stick with the 30 when guys decide to make a move here. But Sean Court says every time he comes to Talladega, it's a different race. Something crazy will happen, or they'll have a smooth day. But today, something's missing for him and his team, and that is his dad, John. His dad, John, is at home watching. He had to have knee replacement surgery, so unfortunately he was unable to be here, but we're going to give him a little shout out because he's watching Sean's dog Ellie for him, and they sure do miss him here at the track.
Yes, certainly hats off to him, and Sean Court knows how to get it done around here. He had a great run at Daytona, finished 3rd, so he's putting himself in a good position.
A tough spot when you're in Sean Court's position right now at the tail end of this lead draft is that you're kind of at the mercy of what everybody else in front of you does. I mean, you see how big of a gap he has there. He's at a big threat of losing this pack.
Yeah, and he's running wide open.
He's running wide open.
You're really vulnerable if you're the last car in a draft, and really those cars behind him are a little bit too far back to help him. Probably once those cars catch him, if he loses a little bit more ground, then that will probably pick up the pace a little bit. But yeah, tough situation to be that last car on the lead draft. Looked like he gained a little bit back right there, though. Now he's going to go to the outside, had a little bit of momentum. He's going to jump to the outside of Frankie Muniz.
Well, it was interesting in that report we heard that Frankie Muniz in the 30 may have some smoke, so maybe Sean Court is thinking, I need to do whatever I can to get around him in case he's having an issue.
He did a nice job of getting around Frankie and then getting back in line, so really Sean did a great job there. He's going to stay to the outside now for a moment, it looks like, hoping that Frankie might go with him. That's Scott Melton. We haven't talked a lot about Scott lately. Started up front, has done a nice job staying in this lead draft up in the top 10.
Great comeback for Melton. Last year we saw that horrific crash here, broken leg, had to be airlifted out of here, and he said, I couldn't get back soon enough. I think it took 3 months. Came back at Pocono last year, ran at Daytona, and he just loves it. Just does not care. Nothing's going to hold him back, and doing a great job today in the top 10.
That's a good shot of a little trouble for the 93. That was a shot of
caution's out.
Oh, right front tire down.
Caleb Costner. Been a quiet day for him, but you see obviously big issue here. Caution out for the 4th time. He was running 12th at the time.
Austin talks about restarts. I don't know that we're going to have a more important restart than this one after this caution flag. It could be the very last one, obviously. We hope it's the last caution flag for sure.
And obviously not good to have a tire failure there, but I think that definitely bailed out Sean Court, Frankie Muniz, Scott Melton.
How about Tony Breidinger too?
Yeah, she was probably going to get lapped there in a little while. So from losing the lead draft. So and I think there's a lot of cars that are left here that are pretty aggressive. It looks like the field's waiting on the pace car there.
Are you saying this might not be the last caution?
It might not be the last caution.
Showing 11 laps to go. Andres Perez talked about how well he's been doing today, has led 25 laps. Rev Racing, they just continue their success. Teams are buttoned up. Those race cars are so good week in and week out, running the two-car organization. Won the championship with Nick Sanchez last year, and of course just helped that young man, pushed him into the truck series, and what he's done already. He's such a quick study, and you know, I think Andres Perez is another one.
But what a pedigree that has come out of Rev Racing, and Max Siegel, who was just honored by the North Carolina Press Association with all he does for the diversity of our sport. And here's some of the graduates of Rev Racing. These guys are pretty good. I don't know, you know, Kyle Larson, he does pretty well. Suarez already winning the Cup Series. Bubba's won a couple times in the Cup Series. And Austin, you race against these guys every Sunday.
No, there's some of the best in the business, and obviously coming from that program really shows how well they do with some of these younger drivers. Obviously watching Nick Sanchez last year, another great example. I really love what they do, but obviously they provide great equipment for some of these guys to go out and really learn what it takes to be the best.
Really good people on board as well. Jamie Jones, we saw him a moment ago. Steve Plattenberger, longtime crew chief, was my crew chief back in the Busch Series back in the day. Some really, really good people there.
Max and Jennifer Siegel doing a really nice job. It's good to have them now in the truck series with that 2 truck, that alliance with Kyle Busch Motorsports. I have a feeling their first win with Nick Sanchez over there won't be long.
Just around the corner, there's Jamie Jones right there, crew chief for Rev Racing.
Let's take a look exactly what brought out this caution. With
oh, wow.
Caleb
that was
Costner.
A really bad angle. You saw he was a little bit ginger trying to get out of the car, but that was, I mean, he went straight from the bottom all the way to the top. See the tire marks that are left on the racetrack from that one. So
big hit for Caleb. He's another one of those, such a neat story. Yeah. AMR safety crew gets to him quickly.
Yeah, I don't think I ever blew a right front tire that I didn't feel it. I wasn't fortunate enough to be able to hit safer barriers like Austin like we have nowadays, but every one of those concrete walls was pretty hard that I ever hit.
Yeah, the tough part about that one is I'm sure he wasn't expecting it in the moment. You know, those usually happen quite suddenly. At least that one definitely seemed to have the looks of it.
Caleb Costner was a racer and then realized, well, I better do something and have a plan B and make some money. So he became a police officer, and he did that for quite a while. But now he said, I just have to get back to racing. Just had a baby girl, his wife did. And, you know, he said, I want to show her to live your dreams. So I started another business to help pay for racing. And here he is, such a nice young man from the Charlotte, North Carolina area. Obviously a huge hit for him, but glad to see that he was out on his own and standing on both legs, seemingly just fine.
Yeah, similar story to Greg Van Alst. He started racing, actually ran a couple ARCA races back 20 years ago, and realized that if he was going to do this, he needed to make a living and to be able to afford to pay for it, and he did that, and then started running late models and stuff around the ARCA series, CRA series, and then made the move a couple years ago back up to the ARCA series.
That passion never leaves you, I guess, is the moral of the story, right?
That's exactly right.
So that's Frankie Muniz's team. We got that report that there was some smoke, and it looked like they were ready for him to come.
Yeah, well, right now we have 16 cars on the lead laps.
9 laps to go here at Talladega. The fans are enjoying it. Stay with us. Who wins it all? Welcome back to Talladega Super Speedway as we're under caution for the 4th time. But what a day. It's so beautiful. Fans hanging out, snacks all around. It's been a special place, though, for many drivers. Look at that. Who is it?
Kyle Larson in the white hat.
Kyle Larson, his wife Caitlin.
Boyer's down there
cut
too,
off sleeves.
Yeah.
What a stud.
They're going on a Harley ride here coming up. And look at this, back in 1988.
That was a pretty good day.
Our own man, Phil Parsons, drives it to victory lane in the Cup
man. Haven't aged a day.
Yeah.
1988.
Yeah.
It's the same guy. Look at this. It's the same guy.
I mean,
I've aged a lot of days. A lot of days I've aged.
You might feel it, but you don't look it.
Yeah.
Phil, I know your passion for this racing in general, every form of it, but what's it like to look back and see that moment?
It's fun. I mean, you know, you almost you go years and never really see any video of it or whatever, and it's always in the back of your mind. But it's nice to every now and then to go back and remind yourself that, you talk about when you won the Toyota Pro Celebrity Race, what a big moment that was. And when that, my entire lifetime, my brother started racing when I was 5 years old. I wanted to drive a race car my entire lifetime, and to win at this level, it was so special. And Austin knows that feeling as well, especially the Daytona 500.
And that'll be replayed your entire career. Pretty special. All right.
Big restart here.
Restart.
Very important. Andres Perez, who's done such a nice job all day long. I think things are about to heat up around him. Jesse Love led 27 laps earlier. Restarting on the outside. Brett Holmes in there. And Gus Dean, the only former winner in the field.
Boy, dead even on this restart.
Yeah, Brett's been doing a really nice job on these pushes, but you're right. Both front rows are really even here.
Teammates on the outside. Gus Dean, that 25, teammate to Jesse Love.
Jason White in the 44, third car down in the outside row. He was right there at the end of Daytona.
Yeah, there's going to be no getting in line and just lining up here on the bottom of the racetrack. We just 7 laps to go.
Jesse was able to get a really good side draft off of turn 2, which really has been the catalyst for those two guys getting hooked together. And they go to the bottom, and I think this is going to really hurt the outside lane for a few laps.
Jesse Love, Gus Dean, teammates hooked up together. Andres Perez right behind them. And Brett Holmes trying to win at his home track. Lined up 4th here.
Remember, Gus Dean, the only former winner in the field. 16 different winners in a row coming into this race. Gus being one of those. In a great position right now, right behind his teammate.
And Brett Holmes wants to go. He and Jack Wood both have been the two hungriest guys making moves. So I'd expect a move to come from one of those two guys before anywhere else.
Yeah, that's that white car in the 5th spot. That's Jack Wood. Jack doing a nice job here. Trying to make his way back after pitting behind after most of these cars did.
Frankie Muniz was on the outside. He got down to the bottom.
There are 3 wide there going in turn 3. Frankie's got a good push right behind him, it looks like.
When we are single file like this, you got 2 teammates leading the race. How do they play that out? Obviously one's racing for points, one wants another win, but how does that play out?
A couple of teammates too, 3rd and 5th, with Andres Perez and Jack Wood, with Brett Holmes in between them. All Chevrolets. Remember, 2 Toyotas up front, and then Chevrolets right behind them, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
5 laps to go here at Talladega.
Scott Melton doing a great job in the 6th spot. I talked to the car owner Bill Kimmel. He said, man, we'd love just to roll that car back on the truck after this race, and if they could do that with a top 10 finish, that would be icing on the cake.
Got this gaggle of cars back here. This guys looks like Frankie Muniz is kind of falling back to this group.
Yeah, I like the strategy of staying in line here, not let that second group catch them. We're coming out down to 4 laps to go.
Love this. Jesse Love, 18 years old, leading the race. You got Scott Melton that we just showed back there, 61 years old, shown in 6th. It's anybody's race right now.
We said that at the very top of the show.
Well, if you're a spotter on the roof right now watching this single file line, you're looking to see where the gaps are. The biggest gap right now is in front of Brett Holmes, and I guarantee you that's on purpose. He's trying to figure out what kind of run his car can generate. He's got a car that he knows wants to move with Jack Wood behind him. When is that run going to happen? When are they going to take it?
And more than likely, their spotters are working together too. Brett Holmes spotter, Jack Wood spotter say, let's lay back a little bit, get a little bit of a run, go with me, and see what we can do.
When is the right time to make that move?
Whenever you have a run. I am not a fan of waiting till the last lap, because some other caution could happen, something could happen, and if you're banking on the one shot, one try, it's probably not going to be enough. So I think if you have the run, you got to take it, and if you have help, you got to take the run too, because everybody else starts getting too impatient as you see another reasonably sized gap in front of the 23 car.
That was Jesse Love's family on the right side and his crew chief Shannon Rush. This car that Jesse's driving actually won this race here 2 years ago. I mean, when you're as good as Venturini Motorsports, especially when it comes to super speedway races, most of your cars, if not all of them, have won at some point in the last few years.
We talked about Scott Melton right now running in the 6th spot. That's the car that Todd Gilliland drove to victory lane here a few years ago. There goes Taylor Gray. He's going to jump to the outside of Sean Corr. Figures coming down to 2 to go. It's time to try to make something happen.
Across the start finish line here, 2 laps to go, as you mentioned. 18 though, Taylor Gray out there by himself.
Unfortunately, as you talked before, I mean, when you're the last car in line, you don't have anybody behind you. It doesn't matter how fast your car is. Obviously, all that Taylor was doing there was pulling the 8 car off the field. They're going to have a tough time really being able to keep up with this lead pack.
I mean, I think Sean Corr would be wise just to get behind. Don't try to side draft them. Don't try to pull them back. Line up, get behind them, or they're going to find themselves in the clutches of the pack behind them.
Now they're both just frustrated with each other because they don't really have a shot to win anymore. Now this pack's smaller, and now it's going to be even harder for Jack Wood and Brett Holmes or Perez to create a run.
Single file and calm up front, but back in the pack, 3 wide.
Here we go. This is it.
White flag is in the air for Jesse Love, Gus Dean, Andres Perez, Brett Holmes, and Jack Wood.
Where's the move going to come from? You see a little bit of a gap. Brett Holmes is backing up to Jack Wood.
I wonder if they backed up too far. They don't have enough cars behind them to generate a run, but obviously Jesse Love has quite a few cars in between him to be able to make the right move, the right block.
Here comes Brett Holmes. He does have a little bit of momentum. He does pull out. Ooh, Perez looked like he faded to the outside as well. Gus Dean's going to jump out of line for a moment. Now pulls back in line. Here comes Brett Holmes. He's got Jack Wood with him on the outside.
Jack Wood thinks more of it. He goes back in line.
It's just going to be blocks all the way to the start finish line. Jesse's looking good here.
Jesse Love in the 20. The 18-year-old from Redwood City, California, comes across the line and he wins at Talladega. One happy crew chief and Shannon Rush right there.
Yeah, just really well executed race, well executed restarts. And obviously the pack was too small there for the end for those other guys to generate a run. But congrats to Jesse, that whole group, they definitely earned that win.
I mentioned earlier, Billy Venturini, the team owner, is out in Kern for the West race. And I said, Shannon, are you in charge? He said, well, I guess so. So he's going to go to victory lane.
So good for Jesse Love, such a competitor. Had, you know, an upset at Phoenix, just wanted to come back, get the redemption, and he does it here at a super speedway and wins at Talladega.
Great teamwork, though, with his teammate Gus Dean. Gus is going to get a second-place finish. Gus ran 4 races for the Venturinis last year, finished in the top 5 every single one of them. Had trouble, mechanical trouble at Daytona. You'd mentioned earlier, Austin, but a great job here finishing second.
Gus Dean, they just added Charlotte to his schedule, so he has a few more races coming up. We'll get to see him. Really nice job for him, who just returned from his honeymoon, by the way. So you come from Bora Bora, you land in Talladega, and you finish second. That's a pretty good week.
Absolutely.
17th different winner in the last 17 Talladega races. You called it, Austin, in the beginning of this show.
Jesse took his steering wheel off.
I love when you drivers come up with something unique that you're...
I wonder if that's the first time he's done that.
I don't recall seeing him do that before.
He's probably going to have to put it back on. Yep. That's all right.
Be like Joey Logano and just wait till you pull into victory lane, park it, and then pull your steering wheel
You got to figure out what your thing is. I think Jesse Love's going to win a lot more races. There's only one way to try and figure out what your thing.
That's already his 3rd ARCA Menards race. There's Big Bill. He's talking to Billy. He heard him say good luck tonight. So
he wants to make it a back-to-back sweep here.
Would be good.
They said yesterday they'd be really cool to have 2 in one day.
Aww. He said that was my son. Well done. The Venturini family been such a huge part of the fabric of the ARCA Menards series for so many years. And look at them. Look at these cars, the sponsors that they bring, the personnel that they have. Make dreams come true.
A great outlet for Toyota, too. Toyota runs a lot of their young drivers through Venturini Motorsports to get them stock car experience.
What a great feeling. Jesse Love, third career win, just 18 years old. This is a big one.
Jesse's pumped. I mean, speedway races are hard to win because there's so much unpredictability, so much out of your control, and it's that relief when the race is over.
Well, he was certainly a class of the field. Led 35 laps today. Executed perfectly.
It was so good on the restarts, too.
Absolutely.
Restarts.
No, the restarts were really key. Being able to get both Venturini cars back down to the bottom, clearing them on the back straight away. That killed the outside lane, not having those two fast cars leading it. And yeah, I think that was catalyst to winning the race.
Jesse Love is ready. He's got that victory flag. Oh, catches the helmet. He's ready to talk to you, Jamie.
And after that 7th place finish back at Daytona, you said you changed your mentality coming here to Talladega. It's all about staying calm. What role did that play in being able to take home this checkered flag today?
Man, I got yelled at at Daytona by my spotter, Tyler Mon. Told me to stay level-headed. You don't win races getting worked up. And I couldn't believe it was white flag. And I was still calm, and he was doing a great job making sure they couldn't get a run. Man, thank you, Gus Dean, everybody at Venturini Motorsports, Billy Venturini, Shannon Rush, Tyler Mon, Lord Garner spot in the 25. Man, first off, all the glory to God. We're here to serve him and win for him in his name. And I love Talladega. I was here last year at the spotter stand watching Tyler win with Noah. And this year, you know, my mom doesn't get to come to a lot of races. She's always back home supporting our family. And this is the one race she really wanted to come to. And she was my biggest inspiration today to win. And man, I'm just so blessed by God and my whole family, my dad. My beautiful girlfriend's here this weekend. This is her first one she came to, so she's going to come to a lot more now. She's good luck. So, man, thank you guys so much for coming out, and looking forward to seeing y'all next time. I'm so happy.
We heard the emotion in his voice. Certainly a win he's going to remember. Heather?
And his teammate Gus Dean brings it home second. And Gus, you said on the last lap, that's when you don't want a teammate there. So kind of take us through the end of the race for you.
Yeah, you know, these Venturini cars, in my opinion, they're the 4 strongest cars in the field. They prove it every time we come to a super speedway or any other track, really. For 75 or 79 laps, excuse me, the teammate situation is the greatest tool that we have. But that last lap is always really hard to get done, especially when you have a driver like Jesse and equipment just as good as yours, and not a ton of help from behind. So, you know, the two, they gave us all the help they could give. We just didn't really have a lot of help behind them. So tried to make it happen, just a little bit shy, but had an awesome time. Huge thanks to Folds of Honor, Dean Custom Air, Impact Racing Equipment. We couldn't do it without all of them. And I have a trophy from here before, and I'm looking to come back and get another one because second just doesn't quite taste as good.
Well, good job on that second place finish today.
Nice big smile even to finish second. How about Jesse Love? Even thanked the spotter of his teammate for helping get the job done. Such a big win for Jesse Love. We have plenty more to come from here at Talladega. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern, head over to the ARCA Menard Series Twitter and Facebook pages at ARCA_racing to vote on what moment you think was today's sweet move of the race, presented by Reese's. And we have 3 candidates.
Yeah, a couple options right there for Jason White avoiding that, as well as Andy J. Great move there by Jack Wood, the 6 car, to avoid Kitzmiller, who had a problem on this restart.
I think this one's my favorite. 2 Venturini cars working together, getting the tandem push, go down to the bottom and go win the race. This is a key moment of the win here.
So what do you think at home? Be sure to go online tomorrow morning starting at 9 a.m. and vote for your sweet move of the race. Brett Holmes with another great finish at his home track. Here's Heather.
Yes, Brett Holmes finishing 3rd here today. And Brett, I sense a little bit of disappointment there for you. We saw you try to make the outside work. Is there anything you could have done different?
I don't think so. I think the 6 and the 2 were satisfied with running 3rd and 4th today because we tried to go to the outside there, and they had an opportunity to move up and possibly win the race. But so when you really don't have anybody, you know, really committed to working with you on the last lap, it's very difficult when you're dealing with 2 other teammates who are working together too. So I think we did everything we could. We came through the field really strong at 18th, and you know, really thankful for my team and Golden Eagle Syrup, Southern States Bank, all those guys for getting me here today and just getting another opportunity to win a race here. We've been so close the last couple years. Last year finishing second by a couple thousandths of a second. We should have won that one, and the year before that leading the most laps. So I just didn't think we had enough opportunities to get up front today. I was hoping this thing, that last caution didn't come out when we were in third and single file, because I would have backed up a lot and made something happen. So when we got to third on the restart, I knew the two Venturini guys were going to work together, and it was going to be hard to make the race pan out like we wanted to at the end. So.
Thanks, Brett. Now, Brett's actually off to a wedding right now, so he's got to haul the mail because his sponsor, Golden Eagle, is the wedding that he's going to, Jamie.
Yes, he has to drive to Auburn, so that's kind of exciting. He'll make it there, maybe not as excited as he would have been if he got the win. There's the kiss right on the lips. Bill Venturini. Every driver that wins has to get that kiss, and I'm sure Jesse Love is more than thrilled to do it. I know his mom and girlfriend, whole family are here to witness and celebrate this win. Well, it was a lot of fun today. A lot of things to look at and take away. I mean, Brett Holmes, his third career top 3 finish at his home track. I know it's got to be a little heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is. Four top 5s in a row, too. He's done everything but win here for sure.
What's your takeaway?
Well, I think Andres Perez did a really great job. First super speedway race, being able to stay calm inside the pack. Obviously, he didn't have the restart he needed, didn't have the same push that the Venturini cars put together. But I love watching Jesse Love's interview. Any dude that's getting choked up and emotional talking about his mom, he's got my support. So that was cool to see. Cool to see the emotion for the win.
How about a little bit of redemption for Scott Melton too? Remember last year, big crash, broke his leg, out 3 months, comes back here and finishes in the top 10. Good for him.
And he gave himself a shot. He was up there in the top 10 the whole time. Well done, Scott Melton. But one guy, Frankie Muniz, another top 10, his second straight top 10 in just his third ARCA Menard Series race. And now he is the point leader. So Frankie's got to be really happy with that.
That's pretty cool for sure.
Yeah, well, we hope that you liked what you saw today. We thank you for watching. What a day it was for Venturini Motorsports. And of course, Jesse Love. Remember, our next ARCA Menard Series race coming up May 6th, Kansas Speedway. That's 2 Eastern on FS1. Coming up next is race day, and of course, the Xfinity Series race at 4 Eastern. For Phil Parsons, Austin Cindric, Heather DeBow, Jamie Howe, I'm Jamie Little on behalf of all of us here at FS1. Thank you for joining. We hope that you enjoyed the action here at Talladega. More racing action to come. Goodbye, everybody.